Life is precious, and we all have the opportunity of living it to the fullest. Unfortunately, so few of us know how to manage it all. How do we account for our opportunities? How do we account for our time? How do we account for our relationships, health, spirituality, homes, finances, influence, and careers? How do we account for the one life we have to live? I am so glad you asked. In this program, you will find answers to all of these questions and more. Welcome to the Account for Your Life podcast with your host, the healthy accountant himself, Jay Moore.
What's happening, everybody? What's going on? I want to welcome you back to another episode of the Account for Your Life podcast. Jay Moore here, the healthy accountant, helping you to account for your life. And today, look, we are going to close out the series of how I changed my life. And look, today I'm going to share with you three things I did that helped me change my life. And look, if you hear it, then maybe you could use it. But today I'm just going to share with you what I did to help me to change my life. So thanks for joining. Let's jump right into the program. So I was sitting here thinking about how I changed my life. And I was like, man, like change it. Change your life. You just got to change it. And look, at the end of the day, I know I struggled. Like I struggled with some things. I'm gonna share with you some of the things that I struggled with, man. While growing and becoming the person I am. I used to drink a lot of alcohol. Like some people just say, hey man, I go out and maybe have some drinks. I used to go out. I hit the bars. I had it at home. I was drinking it every day. And it's funny when I talk to my mom about this. She's like, man, you did? Yeah, I mean, come on now, that was in my family genes. I mean, my grandfather, her mother was I believe was an alcoholic. And her sister was an alcoholic for a long time. And there's a lot of family members that had that. It's not a disease. Alcoholism is not a disease. Alcoholism is just something that people do to mask a problem. And I used to have that problem. I used to do it all the time. And, at first, it's kind of like, hey, this is cool. You're going out, you're hanging out with your friends, you're having a good time, you're partying. And you know what happens when you're partying? Anything can happen when you're drinking. And I had some moments, and I used to do that. One of the other things I used to do, when I know I needed to change some things about myself, I used to smoke cigarettes. I used to smoke weed. I smoke all these. I just did it. At first it was just a part of the game. It was part of, looking cool, hanging out with the cool kids or whatever, and it's funny. I was talking to my brother about this, and he was just like, he says, man, I remember when you was, him and another friend of ours caught me smoking in my room, smoking cigarettes one morning, back when we was in college. He was like, what in the world are you doing? Why are you smoking? And I don't know why I was smoking. I was just doing it. But that's something else, one of the other things I had to do to change my life, I had to kind of figure out what life was about. And I'm gonna tell you, this was a challenge. Anybody, look, I'm sure if you've had anything in your life you wanted to change, because I know I wanted to change, and I really wanted to change. But one of the things that I've kept running up into a wall. I remember I tried to stop drinking, so I stopped. Like prior to getting married, I stopped drinking. As soon as problems came, problems came in the first few couple of months. We kind of, some interesting things happening. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to be a husband. I didn't know anything about it. I just thought that when you got married, it just was like poof, everything is great. I found out it could be that way, but I was young and things weren't working, and I stopped drinking. I remember I would go out, I'd be with some friends, and I would see people drink. Man, that beer looks cold, man. I bet you it tastes good. And I started doing it again. So I fell back into the trap. And I went all in on it again. I started drinking, I started smoking, I started doing all this stuff and hanging out, going to the strip club. That was another thing. You got some nerve, right? You tell your wife you go to the strip club. I'm going to the strip club, honey. We just going to look. That's silly. Like, why am I there? That's just like, that's not a good place to be. I don't care if you're unmarried. If you're married, that's not a good place to be. But for me, it wasn't a good place, but it was a place where we went, for a few hours or whatever, we waste money, drink, and, look at women and talk to whatever. It was just kind of crazy. But those were some things that I had to do in my life, just had to address. Here's the first thing I did. Here's the first thing when I decided, man, I got to change my life. Man, I got to change. How am I going to do this? One of the first things I had to do, I'm going to tell you, the big F. The big F. I had to forgive myself for the things that I know I needed to change from doing. Jay, you got to forgive you, because at the end of the day, those things will always haunt you, Jay. Those things will always come back. Look, people are still going to strip clubs. People still drink. People still smoke. Friends still do all of these things. But you've got to be forgiven of it. You got to forgive yourself of it, so that when it's time to move forward, when it's time to go into the next season of your life, you'll be able to do it. Now, this is the interesting part, or this is where it got interesting for me, because I tried to quit. And a lot of times we try and quit things. We trying. What's going on, my brother Ash? What's happening, bro? Yeah. Look at you, right? I'm sharing my journey here. And here's what's interesting is that after I forgave myself for whatever, just all the stuff, because I'm sure there's plenty of other things I could have been forgiving myself for. And after I forgave myself, one of the things that I knew I had to do, which I didn't know before, which was I had to find a way, I had to find something to do that would help me not to remember. And I had to actually replace everything that I used to do that I was stopping. So I had to forgive myself. I had to replace, because here's the thing: if I didn't replace it, and my good friend Ash, he helped me. It's funny because he called me in 2012. That was when I was kind of I wanted to stop some things, and he called me, and I took a look at an opportunity. And even though I didn't do network marketing, I was like, well, you know what? This may be great. This may be something that I could try. And I went ahead and tried. And here's the thing: I wound up replacing all the time I was doing silly things was something new, which was network marketing. Now, here's the thing: network marketing it's not an easy industry to break through. I'm gonna be honest with you, especially when you don't have influence. See, if you already have influence, you go into network marketing, it's probable that you'll be successful. Most of the people that had success in network marketing, they had at least a little bit of influence when they got in. And that helped to propel them. So whatever they needed to learn in the process, they were making money. And because they were making money, then it happened for them. But for people like me, I didn't have any influence, even though, I'm an accountant. No, I'm a CPA. And then people's like, well, you don't know anything about making money. That's typically what happened. And so people wasn't necessarily signing up or buying the products. But here's what happened. As I replaced the activities that I used to do, I started doing something totally different, which was personal growth. It was not network marketing. This is what happened for me. You don't have to do any of this. I'm sharing my journey because the I AFYL podcast is changing. It's all about my journey. It's not about, look, at the end of the day, if you want to do some of these things that I've done, great, but it's not necessarily for you. It's so that I can document how I got to where I'm going to be. Because look, you're going to think it's an overnight success when you start hearing some of the stories that's going to come out of this podcast. Like, that's what happened for you? Yeah, but I'm sharing with you first how I got here. So I replaced it. Personal growth was everything. And I'm going to tell you, I was like, wow, you can get better. See, I didn't realize that even something like playing sports, basketball is if I would have looked at it from the perspective of, wait a second, if I go to practice every day, and if I go in there to actually do all the basics, go in there, practice my layups, practice my dribble, practice my free throws, practice my jump shot, do the drills, make sure I'm in good position, like know the plays. All those things help a person to get better. Do you know that's the same way that we can get better in anything that we do? All we gotta do is like, hey, if I want to make more money, then that means I got to get around people making money. I have to find out, what do they do? Hey, well, you should, one of the things you're going to probably have to, you're probably going to have to be a public speaker at some point, which you don't have to go this route, but you could do it. And being a public speaker, then that would help you to actually be able to communicate with the world, or with your world, with the people that you could potentially help. You'll be able to communicate with them better. So I was like, wow, that's something I can learn. Network marketing helped me to start being a public speaker, which I did not want to be a public speaker. I was definitely afraid, but they said, man, you can make money. Your check, they said you could give yourself a raise if you just start doing the presentation. I said, whoa, I'm gonna give myself a raise. Give myself a raise, start doing presentation. I didn't really make any money from it. But here's the thing. Here's what I learned. Get in front of the room. And then it took me some time. Once, I got through the whole network marketing phase. I think that was back in 2006, 17. I got out of it and started moving on. Now, here's where the rubber hit the road, because now network marketing wasn't there. I had to actually figure out where I was going. And this last thing I did, I fell in love with the process. Guys, I fell in love with the process. Now, here's the process. The interesting thing about the process, man, that's the practice. That's the showing up. That's the showing up every day. That's the doing the thing every day. That's the, maybe you got to take a class. I had to start taking classes. I start spending a lot of money to pay people to show me what they already know. Hey, can you show me that framework? Right now, I got a mentor I spent over $40,000 with. Yep, over $40,000 with. But here's the thing. He's made 8 figures in the past couple. He's made multi-8 figures in the past 2 years. I'm learning everything he knows because I ain't done that. And because I ain't done it, I'm going to fall in love with whatever process he puts in front of me. And at first I was playing games with it. But you know what? Recently I said, I ain't playing no games with this stuff no more. And I'm just doing whatever the mentor says to do. If the mentor said, what's going on, PB? Haven't seen you in a while. Here's the thing. I was like, wait a second. The mentor says do that. The mentor has a framework. When the mentor, I was at the conference and the mentor showed the framework. I said, you know what? I've been playing around. I'm going to use the framework. I fall in love with his framework, not mine. See, because at the end of the day, mine hadn't made me enough money yet. And look, guys, it's not about money. I don't do this for the money. Not at all. I don't actually do what I do for the money. Money is the way that, look, at the end of the day, and I just heard a guy, you should check this guy out. He's Alex Hormozy. He's on Instagram, YouTube, everywhere. And he said this. He says, you could say the same thing with 1,000 followers on, say, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. But when someone has 100,000 or 1 million followers, and they say the same thing, it comes across totally different. So that's the thing. If you don't have the credibility, then just like I don't have the credibility, I can, like my YouTube channel, I only have 125 followers, right? That's because I don't know enough about YouTube. And because I don't know enough about YouTube, I just read a book. I read a book by, the one of the top YouTubers of all time. I've been watching YouTube channels of those who are killing it, and I'm taking some cues from what it is that they're doing. So here's the thing. That's the only way we get better. We got to find people that's already good and then get better. Look, so at the end of the day, look, you don't have to follow me at all, right? You could, like, just being nice. You could follow me. Like you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. You could follow my Facebook page and my Instagram page because I'm going to give some value, right? It's just that I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. But in the mindset, I realized that I just got to fall in love with the process to the point where at the end of the day, I know where I'm going. And that's the thing. When you know exactly where you're going, see, to change your life, you got to figure out what do I like to change about me? So I said, you know what? I'd like to be a public speaker. I'd like to be a CEO. I'd like to pretty much help a lot of people. And here's the thing, just with those 3 things, if I'm going to help a lot of people, then I've got to be skilled up. I've got to have credibility. I have to have influence. I have to have things that people say, you know what? He's got that. I have to have it. But you know, the funny thing is, if we don't fall in, I'm sorry, if I don't fall in love, it's not about you. See, because I realized something, it's about me. And this channel, this program, the premier program, it's going to be like an overnight success. And one day going to look up, wow, he's got 1 million subs on YouTube. Wow, he's got 1 million followers on Instagram. How did that happen? I don't know. Maybe you provide enough value to the world at the value that the world says that you're valuable. So that's what I'm super excited about. So guys, today we just shared with you, kind of like the last part of how I changed my life. There's so many things I can talk about. But today we just kind of went through the process of forgiveness, forgiveness, replacement, fall in love. Those are the 3 things I personally did when it came to changing my own life. Because at the end of the day, it's just about me at this point. It's not about you. You don't have to do any of these things, but these are the things that I'm doing to help me to get to the next level, to help me to become the person that I know I was created to be. So that in essence, all the things that I should have, which could be money, it could be whatever those things are, I can potentially be blessed because I'm moving towards that on a daily basis. So I thank you guys for joining me for this episode of the I AFYL Podcast. Look, if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you're watching on Facebook, like, comment, share it. Also share it on YouTube. Hit the notification bell with all those YouTube-y things, all those things that people do when they go to different channels if you got value from the program today. So I appreciate you. I love you. And I will see you guys on the next episode. God bless. Peace.
Thanks for joining, friends. We are so glad you invested this time with us. Always remember, you only have one life to live, so live it to the fullest. This has been the Account for Your Life podcast with your host, the healthy accountant himself, Jay Moore. Until next time, make it a great day.